Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream for today, Monday, July 24th. As always, going to be doing a little bit of, so I shouldn't even say as always. So there's not going to be a recap since it is Monday, since it's been since Friday, since we had a video. Then we'll get off with the weather report for today. Take a look at the 8 games slate for today overall. See if there's any major weather spots, which doesn't look too bad at this point in time. Then after that, we'll get over to FanDuel, talk about the core picks that I do have. 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. So these are going to be guys that have pretty good history in their respective matchups. Some pretty decent recent history, a combination of both. And then after that, we're going to go over to the YouTube community tab, look at the bottom half of the cheat sheet and the top GPP teams to stack for today overall. If you're interested in more in-depth notes, be sure to check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports. You'll get some hitter versus pitcher matchups, whether or not I would consider your pitchers in play, kind of a risky play, or a straight up avoid for the day in general, Monday through Friday. Do see we got a couple people in here already. I'm going to apologize, first of all, if I do start to lag at any point. When I was first starting the stream, it seemed like we were lagging pretty good, but we got Johnson Daily Sports. Looks like he was in here saying can't wait. And nice small slate today. So it's a 8-game slate. It's pretty respectable slate for Monday. Sometimes we'll get a little bit bigger. Sometimes we'll get a little bit smaller. But, 7, 8-game slates, these are the ones that kind of bread and butter that I do like quite a bit. So we're going to get started off with that weather report for today. Obviously, the first 2 games of the day are not on the main slate, but we have a game out in Washington versus the Colorado Rockies. 37% chance of rain out there. This is kind of the biggest weather spot at this point in time. So it'll be one that we'll keep an eye out on today. Doesn't look like anything major, though. 3% chance down in Cleveland versus Kansas City, so we're not too worried there. Minnesota, 19% chance of rain, which I know there are some storms passing through this area. Obviously, I live in Wisconsin, if you don't know already, so it's kind of been hit or miss the last couple of weeks in terms of rain. There's been a lot of rain lately, so wouldn't be surprised if it rains once again in Minnesota, but doesn't look like anything that should majorly affect the slate overall. Then, Milwaukee's in a dome, Houston's in a dome. San Diego Padres 1% chance of rain at this point in time. We got the dome for Arizona and then 2% in Los Angeles. So looks like a pretty solid weather wise in terms of slate. If anything majorly does change with that throughout the day, we'll leave it down in the comments. So definitely make sure you're looking at in those comments as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, we're going to stop sharing that. We'll get over to FanDuel and talk about the core picks that I do have for today. So like I said, we're going to have 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. So we're going to start off at the very top today. We got Luis Castillo. He is $10,800, pretty hefty price tag, averaging about 35.5 fantasy points per game on the season. If we look a little bit more in his in-depth stats on the season in totality, 3.04 ERA, 6 wins, $10,800 at this point in time. He does have some pretty good history versus the Twins. The Twins are one of the teams that do strike out the most in all of baseball once again. He had 46 points in his most recent start versus them, which was this season. It might have been even his last start. So definitely do like the upside that he does present today overall. I'm not too worried about that Twins lineup against him. Looks like a pretty strong play at the top, but probably going to be pretty popular in general today as well. Then we're going to keep moving down with our core picks. So we're going to catcher with William Contreras for the Milwaukee Brewers series, $2,900, 269 average, 10 home runs, 37 RBIs, 9.6 fantasy points per game on the season so far. Goes against Graham Ashcraft today for the Cincinnati Reds, 4 for 6 with 1 home run versus him in his career. So some pretty good history there. It's still a relatively small sample size, but do like the upside that he does present there. If we look at some of his recent games, 2 4-for-4s in his last 2 most recent games. But before that, he was on a pretty good streak where he was putting up some pretty good, solid numbers. So I do like the upside that he could present today, $2,900. Not a bad price tag at that point in time as well. If you want to get on some other Brewers in terms of a stack there, you can do it. Ashcraft's pitched a little bit better in his most recent starts, but there's still potential for that Brewers team. And if you want to do that, they are one that is not in my stacks for today, but probably look at him, look at Willie Adames, look at some of those other cheap options. Sal Frelick just did get called up as well. So quite a few options that we could go for that Brewer stack if that was something you are interested in on today. But with that being said, we're going to keep moving down. So we got Jose Ramirez here at third base. He's $3,900. So he's a little bit heftier price tag at this point in time. Not a lot of third basemen that truly stand out today. So do like him here. You're going against Ryan Yarbrough of the Kansas City Royals, 3 for 8 versus him in his career. As you see before the most recent game, which was yesterday, Jose Ramirez was on a pretty good long streak of hits here. So not even going to count all those out, but 3 games in like the past 20 games pretty much at that point in time where he hasn't had a hit. So pretty safe floor, pretty good upside at the same time, although he doesn't have a home run versus Yarborough, but could change that today. So we're going to get off of Jose Ramirez. We're going down to the outfield. So we got 2 cheap guys here at this point in time. Obviously, we're paying up for Luis Castillo. We're paying up for Jose Ramirez. So we're looking for a little bit of value here. First off, we got Dalton Varsho, who has not been the greatest so far this year. Doesn't take much to admit that at this point in time. 212 average, 12 home runs, 32 RBIs. He also has 12 stolen bases as well. He is $2,800. Got some pretty good history in the past versus Michael Grove, although it's a small sample size, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs versus him. So do like that upside. Been starting to hit the ball just a little bit as of late. I know he was kind of down for a while, where his total bases were at 0.5 in terms of betting for quite a bit of time. But if you have that option to bet that once again today, probably going to look like a solid bet based on the history that he does have in the past versus Michael Grove. But do like the upside that he could present today overall. And then last but not least, we got another cheap outfielder here. We got Jurickson Profar at $2,600. Projected to lead off once again for the Rockies. 243 average, 7 home runs, 34 RBIs on the season. Nothing that's too flashy, just under 9 fantasy points per game. $2,600, the real selling point there. Going against Patrick Corbin, he's 3 for 5 versus him in his career. So it does have a decent amount of upside there. Obviously with these core picks, just mainly highlighting guys that have pretty decent history. He's been a little bit hit or miss as of late. Hasn't shown too much upside as of late, but it is a decent matchup versus Patrick Corbin if everything goes right for him today. So, like I said, really on these smaller slates, we're going to want to mix and match just a little bit more. If you don't want to play any one of these specific players, you can obviously swap them out for somebody else. Stacks are going to play a big role as always. But with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. We'll get over to the YouTube community tab and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for the day. I was going to mention too, just if you went with all 5 players there, $12,000, $3,000 per player remaining. So pretty good way to do a balance build today. If you want to pay up for a couple other options, definitely the ability to do so at the same time. So let me get the YouTube community tab brought up here with the cheat sheet, and we'll talk about those top GPP teams to stack for today overall. And there's 4 on here. I think there's other teams you could look at if you want to go after the Brewers versus Graham Ashcraft. You could do that. Houston Astros don't have too bad history versus John Gray. That's who's pitching for Texas today. Gray's been kind of hit or miss this year. So if you want to go after that Houston stack, you could do that as well. But these are the 4 that I do have in general. So we have the Cincinnati Reds going against Colin Ray of the Milwaukee Brewers. Not a long list of history here, but Will Benson's got a home run versus him, 3 for 4. Jake Fraley's 3 for 4 off him. Joey Votto's 3 for 5 with a home run off him. So some pretty good history there. Mac McClain, I believe, was 2 for 5. Obviously, you got Ellie De La Cruz you can play. A lot of good young hitters in that Cincinnati lineup overall. Colin Ray, 4.6-ish ERA on the season for the most part too. So he's had some respectable starts here and there, but he's also had some starts where he's got blown up pretty good as well. Then we move over to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're going against Adam Wainwright. Not a long list of history here, but Wainwright is coming off the IL from a shoulder injury. He's expected to throw only 65 pitches today. Their manager said they were hopefully gets to 5 innings, but he's been pretty hittable so far this season. Coming off the injury, looks like a pretty good spot for the Diamondbacks. And if they can get after him pretty early, going to that Cardinals bullpen and kind of trying to stretch out their bullpen as much as possible today could be pretty effective for them overall. Then we have the Toronto Blue Jays. They're going against Michael Grove. Grove did have a better start in his most recent start, but on the season, still in the area. That's over 6. Not a lot of history here for the Blue Jays outside of Dalton Varsho, who we did highlight is the core pick for today overall. But some pretty decent price tags for these Blue Jays hitters, whether it's Dalton Varsho, Matt Chapman, Vladimir Guerrero's not a bad price point. Bo Bichette's like over his last 17, but he's only $3,500. So if you want to go that direction, you could. George Springer at $3,300. A lot of different ways that we could play this Blue Jays team if that's something you want to do. And then last but not least, we have the San Diego Padres going against Quinn Priester, who's making his second career MLB start. The first start was not very good. It was like 1 1/3 innings, gave up 7 runs. So do like the upside that the Padres team could have overall for today's slate. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have for today's video, for today's live stream in terms of core picks, top GPPs, tax, and the weather. As always, we'll be updating that weather throughout the day if anything majorly changes. We'll be leaving the starting lineups down in the comments below. But also be sure to let me know your favorite play there as well, whether it's someone for my core 5 picks, whether it's someone for my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. Should be a pretty good day to mix and match, get a little bit creative with some of your lineups on this 8-game main slate for today in total. But with that being said, if you are checking out my stream for the first time, if you're checking out this video for the first time and have yet to do so, also be sure to hit that I'm getting ahead of myself there. If you're checking out for the very first time, definitely appreciate you checking it out. First of all, if you do find this information informative, feel free to subscribe. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's definitely for you, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it's mainly MLB DFS Monday through Friday, and then we have some CFL DFS. Those videos typically go up on Wednesday, looking at the slate for the coming week. So definitely be sure to check that out if that's something you're into as well. But with that being said, that's really all that I do have at this point in time. Once again, if you are brand new to the channel or have yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below so you never miss a beat anytime that I do go live or post up a pre-recorded video. But with that being said, definitely appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today. Yeah, I can't talk right now. But with that being said, that's pretty much all that I do have at this point in time. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely means a lot to me. Hopefully, each and every one of you have hopefully each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.